took off from airfields in southern Argentina, equipped with Exocet missiles, and went in search of revenge. HMS Sheffield was on the lookout for enemy aircraft well forward of the main British fleet.
Blind, AWOL, one pop-up target, 01010.
Go back, direct the radar.
As the sea was very calm, we were looking out to sea, and I thought that it looked like a torpedo was on its way. The officer of the watch and other members of the bridge crew started to take cover.
Tumbledown would become a battle that the Scots Guards came close to losing. Spearheading the attack were 30 men from 13 Platoon. They were in the thick of the fighting all night. Early in the advance, their platoon sergeant, the most experienced man, was shot dead. Lance Sergeant Tom McGuinness found himself unofficially running the platoon.
At this stage, I wasn't scared, I wasn't.
The Argentines soon had 13 Platoon pinned down. With heavy fire raining down, McGuinness clambered up steep rocks above the enemy.
I could hear Argentine voices directly below me. The voices of possible. I started throwing grenades down, both high explosives and phosphorus grenades. And I continued to throw these grenades.
The Argentine bunker positions were protected by snipers. McGuinness knew he had to take them out.
I got a 66mm anti-tank weapon. The sniper actually put his head back up over the rock. I fired the anti-tank weapon.
In spite of McGuinness's brave efforts, in over 4 hours the platoon had made little ground. Company Commander John Kisley knew time was running out. With covering fire coming from Lance Sergeant McGuinness and 13 Platoon, John Kisley and 40 men began a do-or-die assault on the rocks towards the summit.
We started charging up the slopes of Mount Tumbledown, moving forward in small groups, firing as we went. The enemy were fighting in a very determined fashion.
Now that's...
We looked down a distance in front of us and we could see the lights of Port Stanley, which was a huge surprise because I had imagined Stanley would be blacked out.
By dawn, the 12-hour battle to take Mount Tumbledown was over. 9 guardsmen were dead and 43 wounded.
It was a pretty chaotic scene. There were a number of wounded people being tended to. There were stretcher parties lifting people back down the hill. Scene.
The guards waited for a counterattack from General Menendez in Stanley. As at Mount Longdon, no counterattack ever came. After the bombing of Sir Galahad, the remnants of 5 Brigade continued with their mission to take the mountains above Port Stanley.
Pike decided that he would try a silent approach at night from the north and the west, in the hope that his paras would reach the lower slopes of Longdon before the Argentines detected them. From his forward observation post, Pike could see that Longdon was a formidable natural obstacle, but he could not see how truly terrible it was. When 3 paras A and B companies crossed the start line and began their advance, every man was sure that success depended on achieving surprise. Thick clouds obscured the moon, and the high wind drowned out the sound of their footsteps and the occasional clank of poorly secured equipment. When only about 500 yards from the base of the mountain, the clouds cleared, and the moorland was bathed in pale light. They pressed on for another 400 yards or so, scarcely able to believe that Argentine lookouts had not spotted them. At this point, Corporal Brian Milne, a 4-platoon section commander, stepped on a mine, which blew off his foot. Outside, the English were running past screaming to each other and firing into tents and bunkers. Casualties began to mount, officers were hit, and B Company's attack began to lose momentum. With officers now dead and wounded, 4-platoon Sergeant Ian Mackay gathered together 4 survivors and attacked up the mountain, storming position after position. His companions were soon dead or wounded, but Mackay pressed on alone over the summit to the northern side of Mount Longdon. His body was found the following morning, surrounded by dead Argentines. He was to receive a posthumous Victoria Cross. Meanwhile, A Company, attacking on the northern side of the mountain, had run into a heavily defended spur and had been pinned down. Pike withdrew A Company, called in artillery support, and pushed them through B Company. The paras began moving again, firing anti-tank rockets directly into Argentine bunkers, and then storming them with grenade and bayonet. Remorselessly, they hacked their way upwards until they controlled the western peak. They now moved towards the eastern peak, intense fire from Tumbledown to the south, forcing them to keep to the northern side of the ridge. the Argentines kept up a heavy bombardment for the next 36 hours, which severely tested the nerves of the exhausted Paras. Taking and holding Longdon, the Argentines' best defensive position, cost the Paras 23 dead and more than 50 wounded.
estábamos muy unidos, muy unidos, y eso es lo que nos hacía muy fuertes. siento orgulloso de haber sido el que tuvo el privilegio de conocer a estos suboficiales, a esos soldados.